Okay, what we're going to focus on in this particular video clip is how to give a personal greeting, clarify a lesson, and put in a plan of action for that particular lesson. So on your Part 3 exam, you'll have your 10 PSTs, your preset tests, with the Phase 1 and the Phase 2. So each lesson you give, whether it's Phase 1 or Phase 2, you'll have to start with a personal greeting by introducing yourself, clarifying that particular lesson, and then giving a plan of action for that lesson. Okay, so to keep it quite simple, you just use the same words all the time, and you just adapt it to suit the lesson that you're actually doing. So if you have a way of saying it, you stick to that same way each time, and you just fill in the blanks. Okay, so the examiner, he will give you a little bit of an explanation, and he'll set the scene for that particular lesson. So he'll always mention what his name is, and he'll give you a little bit of background knowledge on what he's done previously, and he'll also explain that he's familiar with the make and model of the car, because it's what he usually has his lessons in, and he'll give you the particular lesson that you're going to be working on. And what you really do is just recap that. That's the idea. Basically, you just recap that. So, for example, you'd always start off by saying, hello blank, whatever his name is. Yeah, hello John. My name is Innes. Is it okay if I call you blank? Yeah, or John. Yeah, whatever his name is. Your other instructor can't be here today, so I've stepped in to take the lesson for you. But he did say that you'd be familiar with the make and model of the car because he's got the same car as I do. Is that correct? And he'll give you an answer. He also mentioned that today's lesson was going to be on blank, whatever the lesson is. Is that correct? And he'll say yes. And then you say, right then, well, that's great. The first thing we're going to do then is blank. Yeah, that's your kind of plan of action then. Okay, and that's going to differ depending on what lesson you're doing. So just to recap that, the beginning, the introduction is always going to be very much the same, and the clarification very much the same. So, hello blank, my name is Innes. Is it okay if I call you blank? Your other instructor can't be here today, so I've stepped in to take the lesson for you. But he did say that you'd be familiar with the make and model of the car because it's what you usually have your lessons in. Is that correct? He also mentioned to me that today's lesson was going to be on blank. Is that correct? Excellent. Right then, well, the first thing we're going to do is, and then you follow it on from that. And that's where it'll differ. So depending on what particular lesson you're doing will then determine what plan of action you're going to give. Okay, so an example for T-junctions would be, first thing we're going to do is ask you a few questions and see what previous knowledge you have and see if we can link that knowledge to today's lesson. Once we've done that, we'll give you a brief and explain exactly what we want you to do, and then we're going to go out and practice that. We'll give you lots of help and support to begin with, and then as the lesson progresses, I'll reduce the level of instruction, and hopefully by the end of the lesson you can actually deal with T-junctions adequately and safely using the MSM routine by yourself or with little help from me. So that's your plan of action for T-junctions. So what we're going to do is set out the different plan of action for each particular lesson, because sometimes you drive away from the test centre, sometimes they drive away from the test centre, and if you look at the PSTs, it tells you which ones are beginners, which ones are partly trained, and which ones are trained or full licence holder basically. Okay, and I've put a wee bit on the Facebook page as well, stating which ones are which. Okay, so you can look at that, and that'll give you an idea of what's going to happen. But I'm going to give other video clips, and we'll do a setting the scene for each particular lesson, so you've got something to look at from there. Okay, thanks very much.